today. Happy New Year, South Hills. Happy New Year's. My name is Efrain Peña. I'm the campus pastor here at South Hills, Santa Clarita. It is truly a joy and honor to be kicking off the brand new year with you all. If you don't know, we are one campus of many. We're one church with many campuses throughout California, Idaho, Ohio, and Virginia. And we're waiting on to see where God will take us next. But the fact is that you're here today, and we are kicking off a brand new series, the first series of 2024, titled Subtraction. Subtraction. And this series is really about accomplishing more by doing less. Accomplishing more by doing less. Listen, a new year always represents a clean slate. We think about where we are and where we want to be, and everything we should probably add to our already overcrowded schedule in order to get there. Many of you have already made a list of all the things that you want to accomplish in this new year. Some of you got that calendar right there in front of you. You sat down with people that you love and care about and started jotting things down. Some of you wrote it on the mirror. Some of you got Post-its everywhere. Some of you put it on your phone. This is what I got planned. This is what I'm going to do. These are the things I'm going to accomplish. Some of you have already begun. Some of you already have failed at your New Year's resolutions, and we are in day 7. I'm not going to call you out. That's not what I do, right? And so we keep adding and adding and adding to the busy schedule we already have. I joke around this past year. The joke was that I'm an Uber dad, right? I'm an Uber dad because I Uber my kids everywhere, right? I Uber them to school. I pick them up from school. I Uber them to practice. I pick them up from practice. I Uber them to hang out with their friends and pick them up from hanging out with their friends. I pick them up. I Uber them to where they want to hang out. Like, it is Uber, and Uber's not paying me. I don't even get a tip. And every time I look at the calendar, it's like, oh, one more thing is added. One more thing has been added. Oh, and then, one more thing has been added again. In Puerto Rico, the joke was that I had 2 wives, my own wife, Monica, and my sister-in-law, Cindy. Because they would always tell me what to do. Hey, E, don't forget you got this. E, don't forget you got that. E, we got to go this. E, we got to do that. And I was like, hey. I said, one I do. Once. But we find ourselves and our schedules are filled with things, right? But what if the life you want, the life that you truly want to live out, isn't about adding anything, but learning what and how to subtract? What to take out. Friends, our goal in this series is to help you realize how pointless it is in trying to do everything, to clarify what's most important to you and give you the tools to say no and to set up a system to sustainably live the life that you really want to live in 2024. Right? That's the goal of this series, is to understand that maybe you've added a little bit too much to your calendar. How can we take some things off of that to-do list? How can we focus our time and energy in really doing the things that we really want to do in this new year? And so this first series, or this first week of this series, is titled Overstimulated. Overstimulated. Let me ask you this. Have you ever come across anybody or somebody who's made a significant change, right? Accomplished something notable in their life, or taken control of their life in a way that you admire, that you respect, or maybe even envy? Someone, when you look at them, you're like, man, they got it together. They're doing things right. Man, I wish I was in their seat. I wish I had, man, they're so put together that, God, I wish I could do the things or live the life that they're living. I have. Some of you just don't want to admit to that stuff, but I have. And the thing is that our reaction is often, man, that is absolutely amazing. That is so cool. Like, I love it. How'd you do it? Or how are you doing that? That is so awesome. And they usually respond by sharing how it somehow involves rearranging their entire life in order to focus more intently or more intently on a particular priority. In other words, they've rearranged certain things. They've taken out, moved things around in their life in order to keep their eyes focused on the main goal, on the main prize. And when we hear that, right, the reality is it deflates us. It's like, oh gosh. We find ourselves thinking, man, that's cool, but I can never do that. I can't. I just can't. I have too many obligations already. I got too many responsibilities. I got so many people calling my name. Like everybody's wanting something from me. If I only had the time. If I had the time, then yeah, maybe. But I don't. Oh well. It's not for me. Friends, most of us have moments like this. And it stems from the idea that I'm so busy doing everything I have to do that I don't have time to do anything I want to do. Have you been there? Yeah, I have. Many of in this room have been there before. I'm so busy running around. I'm so busy taking care of this. I'm so busy being an Uber dad. I'm so busy doing that, right? I'm so busy doing all of these things that I don't have time to do the things that I really want to do in life. Listen, if we're honest, there are many of us who feel trapped in lives that we don't enjoy living. We're just running this race. The rat race. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And you never find the exit. Ever found yourself spread too thin? Do you simultaneously feel overworked and underutilized? That's crazy. But it's real. Are you busy but not really productive? Always on the move but not getting anywhere? Do you feel like your time is constantly being hijacked by other people's agendas? Why is that? Why does that happen? Why is it so common for people today? I'll tell you why. It's because our culture attempts to convince us that we can be, that we can do, that we can have it all at once. But the truth is, the more that we do, the less fulfilled we are. We live in a society that says, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can have it. Yes, to all of it, all at once. But that's not really how life plays out. Ever feel like you're living the life others expect of you, not the one that will fulfill you? There's this lady by the name of Bronnie Ware. Anybody heard of Australian lady by the name of Bronnie Ware? She's a songwriter, an author, a motivational speaker. And she wrote this book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. The top 5 regrets of the dying. And through her experience, right, through her experience of being like a palliative caretaker of someone who was taking care of people who were sick or severely sick and whatnot, at the top of the list, at the top of that list was this: I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That's the regret from people who are being taken care of by someone else. That I wish I lived the life that I truly wanted to live and not the life that others expected for me to live. Friends, the reality is that if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Someone else will. Some of us are beginning to discover that trying to make everyone else happy has led us to let go of what we value most. In striving to be who the people around us need us to be, we've lost sight of who we really are, and we end up feeling like our life is not our own. That someone else is dictating that life, that someone else is kind of maneuvering us up and down, in and out, and all around. We live this way because we live according to a couple of faulty assumptions. Right? We live this way because there's some things that we try to implement but are really not working. And that is, I have to, it's all important, and I can get it all done. We go around living life with those 3 things, those 3 assumptions: that I have to, that it's all important, and I can get it all done. And when we live that life that way, when we pursue life with those faulty assumptions, we're headed in the wrong direction. The Bible gives us a great story to reference here. And it tells us about a guy named Nehemiah. All right, Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 3 to 4. And give you a quick context here. His brother has come back to visit him, and he's bringing a report. He's bringing a report of back where Nehemiah is from. And he says, they said to me, things are not going well for those who return to the province of Judah. They are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem has been torn down, and the gates have been destroyed by fire. When I heard this is Nehemiah saying, verse 4, when I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to the God of heaven. So Nehemiah learns that the wall has been torn down and the gates have been burnt. And this is devastating to him because this is the city that he loves. He loves this city. And maybe you too have had this same feeling or experience, not about your city, but about your life. The one where your boundaries have been pushed in, or even worse, crumbled. And you're feeling burnt out. Feeling tired. Feeling overwhelmed. Everything you've set your heart out to do, it's not happening. And the truth is, you want to change. You really want to change, but you don't always feel like you can. Why is that? Nehemiah reminds us of the why when he states in verse 11c, in those days I was the king's cupbearer. In those days, I was the king's cupbearer. In other words, he had obligations. He couldn't go back because he had obligations. He didn't have time, already had commitments. People were already expecting certain things from him. And friends, it's the same with you as well. You too have commitments. You too have obligations. You have a full schedule. And for Nehemiah, he's the subject to the king, right? Pushing back or shifting priorities or saying no or walking away could disappoint the king and result in death. So he was backed up into a corner. What do? I have this entire agenda that is full. And the things that I love in life are crumbling. They're being destroyed. But I belong to the king. I've got duties. I got things to check off the list. I got places to go, people to see, and things to do. I can't attend to the things that I really love because I already have a full schedule. But Nehemiah does something unexpected. Chapter 2, verse 5 says, I replied, if it pleases, now he's talking to the king, if it pleases the king and if you are pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried. Basically what he's saying is, man, I have a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling about how I should be investing my time, and I'd like to explore that for myself. Something inside of me says, I'm losing out in life. Yes, there is agenda. Yes, there's things to do. But the things that I love, the things that are important to me, I feel like I need to go there. I feel like I need to do that. If you've ever reported to a king, and I don't know if you have or not, but Nehemiah took a huge risk in asking the king if he could stop doing his responsibilities in order to take care of something that he loved. Something that was important to him, something of value, of worth. But to him, to Nehemiah, it was all worth it. He was willing to take the risk. He was willing to pay the consequences because he lives according to a core belief, right? A belief that is different than a lot of people. And that is that you can live by design, not by default. That you can live by design, not by default. And that's so important for us to understand as we kick off this new year. Default is doing the same thing that you've been doing, that's been already preset for you. By design is choosing to pursue something that is dear to your heart. When you set your priorities in place and say, wow, this is something I need to accomplish. This is something that's really meaningful to me. I want to first address that. And so this core belief creates its own set of assumptions that I cannot have, be, and do it all. That I cannot have, be, and do it all. The truth is that you can do anything, but you cannot do everything, church. You can do anything, but you cannot do everything. You see, everything in life is a trade-off. Realizing this enables you to stop asking, how can I make it all work out? How many have been there before? I need to figure out how to make it all work. Right? I need to figure out, give me a minute. Let me process this. Let me try to grab a hold of this. Let me move things around to try to make it all work out. We've been there. And with this new assumption, with this new understanding that you can live by design, not by default, that I cannot have, be, and do it all, right? That I can do anything, but I can't do everything. It now changes our perspective. It changes our understanding. It changes where we're moving to, right? And now we start asking the more honest question, which problem do I want to solve? Which thing do I need to address right here, right now? Because I can't do everything. I can do anything, but I can't do everything. Do I want the problem of an unsatisfying existence, or the problem of potentially disappointing authority and endangering my future by pursuing my dreams? And friends, when you do that, you begin to understand that you can let certain things go. That everything is not as important as you thought it was. That everything kind of has a place in order. Have you ever heard of the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 principle? This principle states that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort. 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort, or 80% of your fulfillment comes from 20% of your investment. Think about that. John Maxwell says that you cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. You cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything. Listen, those living the life they want deliberately decide what to let slide and refuse to feel guilty about that. It's okay if that doesn't get done, because that's not really as important as this. I get it. Today I'm giving you something that you probably have not applied in your life before. And it contradicts how you've been doing life over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years. But I hope that you grab onto this and see how it can work and benefit you and your family. Friends, in other words, we have choices about the way we live. We have a choice in that. We have a choice in that. We have a say in how we get to live our life. You are ridiculously in charge of your own story. As you align your heart with Jesus, He is the author, but He is giving you options and choices for you to decide a lot of things. You cannot be made to consistently do what you don't want to do. You're not a baby anymore. Choosing to believe that you don't have a choice is a choice in and of itself, and a bad one at that. You may not always have control over your options, but you can control how you choose among them. I'm in the season of life where I'm having these life talks with Noah, right? And how she handles the craziness of sports, competitive sports. And what happens and how she reacts when things don't work out the way she is expecting them to work out. Noah has this approach of she wants to be perfect on the court. She doesn't want any turnovers. She doesn't want to miss any shots. She wants everything to go according to her plan. And we all know that's never going to happen. Not because she doesn't have the skills or talents for that. That's just the way life is. But she has a choice on how and what happens next. She can go around kicking rock. It never go that way, never. Right? She can do that. Or she can, let's go. And find a way to move on. And not let her current circumstances dictate what happens next. Because she gets a choice in that. That 1 second in making a decision that maybe didn't work out is minuscule to the rest of that. The rest of, she plays for an hour, 60 minutes. She has another 59 minutes where she can make choices and do things that can go in her favor. But if she chooses to focus on that 1 second of that 1 minute, let it dictate the rest. It's going to be horrible for her. It's going to be horrible for me. It's going to be horrible for her teammates. And as one person said yesterday, a parent from the other team said, well, that was hard to watch. You see where I'm getting at? We have the choice. We have options here for us. And we get to choose how things will kind of play things out in a way that are in our favor. Psalms 90:10 says, 70 years are given to us. Some even live to 80. But even the best years are filled with pain and trouble. Soon they disappear and we fly away. Psalms 90:12 teach us to realize the brevity of life so that we may grow in wisdom. In other words, let's stop focusing and giving our attention to all of these other things that don't benefit us, that don't help us grow in life, that don't put a smile on our face, that don't give us hope, that doesn't surround us with people that love us as much as we love them. Teach us to use our limited life wisely. We're only here for a certain amount of years. Choose to live them, bringing glory and honor to God, and live the life to the fullest, right? That's what he said he came. I came here so I can give people life, so they may live life to the fullest. Let me wrap this up this morning. Nehemiah 2:6. This is after he has asked the king, hey, dude, like, I know what I got to do, and that's cool and whatnot, but I just feel in my gut, I need to go do this. I need to pay attention to that. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's where my heart is. And the king says, the king with the queen sitting beside him, two people of authority. They asked, or the king asked, how long will you be gone? When will you return? Then it says, after I told them how long I would be gone, the king agreed to my request. the king agreed to my request. So after asking Nehemiah, how long would it take? How long, what's your plan? Right? Tell me about it. The king actually agrees to give him space to explore that possibility. Friends, here's the big question that I want you to leave here today with. If you could do one thing with your life right now, what would you do? If you could do one thing with your life right now, what would you do? Maybe that's not a question that you have an answer for right now, but it's definitely a question that you can take home, sit down, and ponder and process. Because the follow-up question is just as important. And that is it getting the attention, all of the attention that it deserves? If you had one thing that you can do in life, what would you do? And once you get that, the follow-up question is it getting the attention it deserves? Maybe you want to be a better husband. Maybe you want to be a better wife. Maybe you want to be a better daughter or son. Maybe you want to be a better boss, better leader, a better pastor, a better friend. Maybe you just want to take this job and you want to do this in this job. Is it getting all of the attention that it deserves? Are you putting your resources into that? If not, here's the kicker. If not, I want you to leave here knowing that you can change that. If it's not getting the attention it so rightfully deserves, you have the power to change that. You have the power. Nobody else does. Nobody else but you. You can change that. You can leave here saying, oh, Pastor E gave me the keys to the kingdom. I'm going to pursue this. I have the power to change that. Friends, some of you are lost inside your own life. You don't even know how to answer that question, let alone make a plan to address the answer. Fortunately for you, this is what this series is all about. If you want to get more insight, understand a little bit better, you're going to have to come next week and the week after that and the week after that, because I'm not giving you all the goodies today. I want you to leave here encouraged. Yes, leave here encouraged. It is 2024. It is the start of a brand new year. And if you didn't like 2023 because you didn't make changes from 2022, if you're still stuck on COVID, I want to encourage you that today, right here, right now, 7 days into 2024, you have the power to change. You can change what happens in this next year. You can change the trajectory of your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your family members, your friends, your co-workers, your neighbors. You have the power to do that alongside of Jesus. I don't know about you, but that sounds really, really good to me. Let's stand and pray. Lord Heavenly Father, we bless you and we thank you, Lord, for your goodness, your mercy, your grace, and above all, Lord, your word. Your word that speaks authority into our life. Your word that speaks life to our souls. And today we want to give you our life, Lord. We want to give you 2024, Lord. Believing and trusting that you have incredible things planned, prepped, in store for us as an individual as a family, and as a church. Help us, Lord, see it. Help us, Lord, believe it. Help us, Lord, to walk that out till it happens. To you be all the glory and all the honor. In your name we pray, amen. Church, let's worship it one more time.
Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances, and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you, and thank you for watching our online service today.